Hey everyone, welcome back to MoneyPulsar. Let me ask you something a little uncomfortable. You study hard, you get a degree, you land a job, you work 10, maybe 12 hours a day, pouring everything you have into your career. And yet, you still feel like you're just one emergency away from crippling stress, one unexpected medical bill away from debt, one job loss away from total panic. Does that sound familiar? So today's question isn't, how do I get rich? No, today's question is, why does the middle class work so incredibly hard and still stay stuck? Now, this video is not about blaming you. It's about understanding the system that's been built around us. We're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden forces that keep so many hardworking people on a financial treadmill. We'll explore 3 core reasons. First, the illusion of the safe job and the decline of traditional career paths. What used to be a ticket to stability is now often a trap. Second, we'll talk about silent wealth killers. Things like inflation and lifestyle creep that secretly eat away at your savings without you even noticing. They're like termites in the foundation of your financial house. And third, we'll expose the debt go-round, the cycle of borrowing for education, housing, and even daily life that keeps you paying others before you can pay yourself. This isn't just about theory. It's about giving you a new lens to see your finances through. We'll break down how assets differ from liabilities in a way your bank never explained, and why focusing on income alone is a recipe for staying exactly where you are. We're going to challenge everything you thought you knew about building wealth. So, make sure you stay till the very end. Because once you understand the rules of the game you've been playing, you'll never look at money the same way again. It's time to stop just working hard and start working smart. Let's dive in. And hey, if this resonates with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content that changes the way you think about your financial future. Ever feel like you're running on a hamster wheel? You work hard, you earn a decent salary, but at the end of the month, you're left wondering where all the money went. If this sounds familiar, you might be caught in something I call the middle class trap. So, what exactly is the middle class? It's a tricky spot to be in. You're not poor. You have a roof over your head, and you can afford the necessities. But you're definitely not rich either. You're constantly in a state of managing bills, managing expenses, managing expectations. It's a life of calculated survival. Let's break down the typical cash flow for a middle-class family. The salary hits your bank account at the start of the month. Phew, relief. But wait, not so fast. Almost immediately, the deductions begin. The EMI for your car loan, gone. The EMI for your home loan, poof. The monthly rent, vanished. The kids' school fees, there they go. Then there are groceries, utility bills, transportation costs, and maybe, just maybe, a small dinner out. By the time you've paid for everything, what's left for savings? For most, it's a frustratingly small amount. You look at your savings account, and it seems to be growing at a snail's pace. If at all, it feels like you're taking one step forward and one step back every single month. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. This isn't a result of laziness. It's not because you're bad with money or not working hard enough. You're putting in the hours. You're responsible. The hard truth is, this is by design. Think about it. The modern economic system is structured in a way that keeps a large portion of the population in this exact cycle. You earn just enough to cover your expenses, maintain a certain standard of living, and maybe save a little. You have enough to be a consumer, to pay your taxes, and to keep the economic engine running. You're comfortable enough not to revolt, but you're never quite wealthy enough to truly break free. You have just enough to lose, so you play it safe. The system needs you to keep working, keep borrowing, and keep spending. The mortgage keeps you tied to a job for 30 years. The car loan keeps you making monthly payments. The desire for a slightly better lifestyle keeps you chasing the next promotion, the next small raise, which then gets eaten up by slightly higher expenses. It's a clever, self-perpetuating loop. You earn just enough to survive and dream, but rarely enough to escape the race entirely. This isn't meant to be discouraging. It's meant to be an eye-opener. Recognizing the trap is the very first step to figuring out how to navigate it or even break out of it. It's about understanding the rules of the game you're playing, because once you see the system for what it is, you can start making different choices. You can start looking for ways to build assets instead of just earning a salary. You can prioritize financial education, explore side hustles, or invest differently. The goal isn't just to earn more money to spend more. The goal is to build a life where your money works for you, not the other way around. It's about creating a future where you are no longer just managing, but truly thriving. What are your thoughts on this? Have you ever felt this way? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt like you're working harder and harder, getting that yearly pay raise, but somehow you're not getting ahead? Maybe you even feel like you're falling behind. It's a frustrating feeling, and it's one that a lot of people, especially in the middle class, are experiencing. Today we're going to unpack a harsh but essential truth. Relying on your salary alone is the slowest way to build wealth. In fact, it might be a guaranteed way to lose financial ground over time. Let's break down the math, and I promise, it's simpler than you think. Your salary growth is typically linear. What does that mean? It means it goes up in a relatively straight, predictable line. You get a good performance review, you get a 5% raise. Maybe you switch jobs and get a 10% or even 15% bump. That sounds great, right? On paper, your income is consistently increasing. You see that bigger number on your paycheck and feel a sense of progress. But here's the other side of the equation, the one that often gets overlooked until it's too late: your expenses. Unlike your salary, major life expenses don't grow linearly. They grow exponentially. Think about the big-ticket items that define your quality of life: housing, education for your kids, and healthcare. These costs don't just inch up by a few percent each year. Let's look at the numbers. While your salary might be growing at that 5 to 10%, it's not uncommon for housing prices in desirable areas to jump 10, 15, or even 20% in a single year. The cost of a college education has been skyrocketing, often growing at a rate far outpacing inflation. And we all know about healthcare costs. Premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses can surge unexpectedly. So, you have your salary climbing a steady hill, but your expenses are launching like a rocket. In the beginning, the gap might not seem that big. Your 5% raise might just about cover the increased cost of groceries, gas, and your rent. But year after year, the gap widens. It's like you're running on a treadmill. You're putting in the effort. You're moving your feet, but the treadmill's speed is increasing faster than you can run. Eventually, despite all your effort, you start moving backward. This is the core reason why so many middle-class families feel poorer every year, even with rising incomes. They are caught in this financial trap. They're doing everything they were told to do: get a good education, find a stable job, work hard, and climb the corporate ladder. Yet, the financial security they were promised feels further and further away. The dream of buying a bigger house, funding a comfortable retirement, or even just taking a nice family vacation becomes a source of stress rather than excitement. So, what's the solution? Does this mean you should quit your job tomorrow? Absolutely not. For most of us, a salary is the essential foundation. It's the engine that pays the bills and keeps the lights on. But it should be seen as just that, a foundation, not the entire structure. The key is to change your mindset from being just an earner to being an owner and an investor. You need to build systems that allow your money to grow exponentially, just like your expenses. This means creating additional income streams. It means investing your money so that it works for you, even while you sleep. We're talking about things like investing in the stock market through low-cost index funds, buying real estate that generates rental income, starting a small side business that can scale, or even creating digital products. The goal is to have streams of income that are not directly tied to the number of hours you work. These are the income streams that have the potential for exponential growth, the kind of growth that can actually outpace the rising cost of living. Think of it this way: your salary is your offense in the game of finance. It's how you score points. But your investments and additional income streams are your defense and your special teams. They protect you from the exponential rise in expenses and can turn the tide of the game in your favor. By focusing only on your salary, you're playing with only one part of your team, and it's a surefire way to lose the long game. The shift begins with education. Start learning about personal finance, about investing, about different business models. You don't need to become a Wall Street expert overnight. Start small. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos like this one. The most important step is the first one. Recognizing that your salary alone won't get you to your financial goals. Once you accept that reality, you can start building a new path. A path where you're not just running on a treadmill, but building your own vehicle to financial freedom. Have you ever wondered why, after years of schooling, so many of us still feel completely lost when it comes to money? We spend over a decade, maybe even two, learning history, science, and literature. But what about the one thing we all have to deal with every single day? Our finances. It's a huge gap, and it's not an accident. Think back to what school really drilled into us. What was the formula for success? Get good grades, pass your exams, get into a good college, earn a degree, and then, the grand finale. Get a secure job, get marks, get a degree, get a job. That's the formula for success we were all given. It's a clear, linear path. And for many generations, it worked. But here's the problem. The world has changed, but that formula hasn't. The system is designed to produce one thing, and it does it very well. It produces good employees. It teaches us to follow instructions, meet deadlines, and be a reliable part of a larger machine. These are valuable skills, no doubt. But what happens after we get that job and start earning a paycheck? That's where the education system completely drops the ball. Think about what we are not taught. Was there a class on how money actually works? Not the history of currency, but the practical, real-world mechanics of money in the 21st century. Did anyone ever sit you down and explain the concept of inflation? Not just as a definition in an economics textbook, but how it is a silent thief that slowly eats away at the value of the money you work so hard to save. Every dollar you put in a standard savings account is actually losing purchasing power year after year. Were you taught that? I certainly wasn't. And what about the most fundamental concept in building wealth? The difference between an asset and a liability. Or even more basic, the difference between an asset and your income. We're taught to trade our time for money, our effort for a salary. But we were not taught how to use that money to acquire assets, things that put more money into our pockets, even when we're not actively working. Things like stocks, real estate, or owning a business. This leads to a huge disconnect. We learn how to earn money, but not how to make our money work for us. The system as a whole, the economic system we live in, doesn't primarily reward effort. If it did, the hardest working people would be the wealthiest, and we all know that's not always the case. The system rewards ownership. It rewards people who own the assets, who own the systems of production, who own the intellectual property. It rewards owners, not just workers. So, what's the result of this educational gap? We graduate as a population of good, hard-working employees, but we are terrible money managers. We get the job, we earn the income, and then we struggle. We fall into debt. We live paycheck to paycheck, and we wonder why we're working so hard but not getting ahead. We're running on the employee hamster wheel, not realizing we were never taught how to get off and build our own wheel. The fundamental truth is this. The system trains workers, not wealth builders. It prepares you to be a cog in the economic machine, not the person who owns the machine. And this isn't some grand conspiracy theory. It's just a relic of an older, industrial-age model of education that hasn't caught up with modern financial reality. So what can we do? We have to take our financial education into our own hands. We have to be curious. We have to read the books they never assigned in school, watch videos from people who explain these concepts, and start having conversations about money that we were taught were taboo. It starts with a simple shift in mindset, from just being an earner to becoming an owner. It's about learning the rules of a game we've all been playing, whether we knew it or not. Understanding this isn't about getting rich quick. It's about financial security, freedom, and having choices in life. It's about not being a victim of a system you don't understand. The path is there, but you have to seek it out for yourself. Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, working harder and harder, but never really getting ahead? You're doing everything, right? You got a good education, landed a decent job, and you're responsible with your money. Yet, somehow, financial freedom feels like a distant dream. Well, you're not alone, and there's a big, invisible reason why so many of us in the middle class feel this way. It's the tax system. Let's break it down. When we look at our society, it's often split into three financial groups: the poor, the middle class, and the rich. Now, this isn't about judging anyone. It's about understanding how the system works. For those with lower incomes, there are often government subsidies and support programs designed to provide a safety net. Things like tax credits, housing assistance, and food aid can help ease the financial burden. The goal is to ensure everyone has access to basic necessities. On the completely opposite end of the spectrum, we have the wealthy. They have access to armies of financial advisors, tax lawyers, and accountants. These experts specialize in finding every legal loophole, every deduction, and every investment strategy to minimize their tax obligations. They use complex structures like trusts, corporations, and offshore accounts to legally optimize their finances. For them, paying the full sticker price on taxes is almost a choice, not a requirement. They're playing a completely different game with a different set of rules. And then there's us, the middle class, the backbone of the economy. We're caught right in the middle, and it feels like a squeeze. We earn too much to qualify for most government assistance, but not enough to afford the sophisticated legal and financial teams that the wealthy use. So what happens? We pay the full freight. We see that big chunk of income tax taken directly from our paychecks before we even get to touch it. But it doesn't stop there, does it? We leave our house, and the taxes just keep coming. You go to the store to buy groceries, and boom, you're hit with sales tax or GST. You fill up your car to get to work, and a huge portion of that price at the pump is fuel tax. These are the obvious taxes, the ones we see. But what about the hidden ones? The ones baked into the price of everything we buy. Think about it. The businesses that produce the goods we consume have to pay property taxes, payroll taxes, corporate income taxes, and import duties. They don't just absorb these costs, they pass them on to us, the consumers, by building them into the price tags. That phone you're holding, the clothes you're wearing, the food on your table, they all have layers of hidden taxes embedded in their costs. So you're being taxed on your income, taxed when you spend your after-tax income, and taxed again through the inflated prices of goods and services. After all these visible and invisible taxes are siphoned off, what are we left with? For many in the middle class, it's just enough to cover the mortgage or rent, the car payments, the bills, and maybe, just maybe, a small amount for savings or a modest vacation. It's a survival budget, not a thriving one. The dream of building significant wealth, of investing for the future, of achieving true financial independence, feels perpetually out of reach. We're essentially funding the system from both ends, subsidizing the bottom while the top legally sidesteps their full share. This isn't a complaint. It's an observation of the mechanics of our financial world. The system, as it's currently designed, silently squeezes the life out of the middle. It's a subtle but powerful force that keeps millions of hardworking people feeling stuck. Understanding this is the first step. It's not about finding someone to blame, but about opening our eyes to the financial realities we face. Once we see the game board clearly, we can start to think about how to play it differently, how to make smarter financial decisions, and how to advocate for a fairer system for everyone. Have you ever felt trapped, like you're stuck in a job you don't love, living a life that isn't quite what you dreamed of? You're not alone. For many of us, especially in the middle class, there's an invisible chain holding us back, and that chain is forged from one powerful emotion: fear. Think about it. How many times have these thoughts crossed your mind? What if I lose my job? What if I start this business and it fails? What will my parents, my friends, my neighbors say if I quit this stable career? These questions haunt us. They echo in our heads when we think about taking a leap, chasing a passion, or just trying something new. This fear creates a very specific pattern of behavior. We start prioritizing safety over growth. We choose the predictable, fixed salary over the potential, but risky, rewards of entrepreneurship or a creative path. We cling to the comfort of the familiar, even if it's unfulfilling, rather than stepping into the unknown where real opportunity lies. We trade our dreams for a sense of security, which, in today's world, is often just an illusion anyway. This cycle is incredibly effective at keeping us in line. It's a self-imposed prison. We become so afraid of losing what we have that we never dare to reach for what we could have. We settle. We play small. We tell ourselves it's the responsible thing to do. But is it? Is it responsible to sacrifice your potential and your happiness for a life of quiet desperation? Let's break down these fears, one by one. The fear of losing your job. It's a valid concern, especially with bills to pay and a family to support. But is your current job truly secure? Companies downsize. Industries change. The only real security is in your own skills, your adaptability, and your courage to create your own path. Relying on a single employer for your entire livelihood is actually one of the riskiest things you can do. Then there's the fear of failure. What if my new venture fails? Well, what if it does? Failure is not a life sentence. It's a lesson. Every successful person you admire has a long list of failures behind them. They didn't succeed because they never failed. They succeeded because they weren't afraid to. They saw failure as data, as a stepping stone, not as a stop sign. The real failure is never trying in the first place, and always wondering, what if? And perhaps the most insidious fear of all, what will people say? We are social creatures, and the fear of judgment is powerful. We worry about looking foolish, about being seen as irresponsible or reckless. But here's the truth. The people who matter will support your courage. And the people who judge you, they are often projecting their own fears onto you. They criticize your ambition because it reminds them of the chances they were too afraid to take. Are you going to let their fears dictate the course of your life? When an entire population is driven by these fears, something interesting happens. A scared population is an obedient population. It's easy to control. When people are afraid of losing their jobs, they're less likely to speak up against unfair practices. When they're afraid of instability, they're less likely to challenge the status quo. They follow the rules, keep their heads down, and do what they're told. This fear becomes the ultimate tool of control, not by some shadowy figure, but by the very system we've bought into. So, how do we break these invisible chains? It starts with acknowledging them. Recognize the fear for what it is, a voice in your head, not a prophecy. It starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if I fly? Instead of focusing on what you could lose, focus on what you could gain. Freedom, fulfillment, a life aligned with your true self. Start small. Take one tiny step outside your comfort zone today. Maybe it's signing up for a course, starting a side project, or just having an honest conversation with yourself about what you truly want. Each small act of courage weakens the chains of fear. It builds momentum. It proves to you that you are more capable and resilient than your fear would have you believe. The choice is yours. You can remain in the comfortable, predictable cage, bound by the invisible chains of what if. Or you can decide to start filing away at those chains, one by one, and step into the vast, open world of possibility that awaits you. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Have you ever felt like you're working harder but not getting ahead, like your paycheck just doesn't stretch as far as it used to? Well, you're not imagining it. There's a silent force at play, and it's called inflation. Inflation doesn't announce its arrival with a loud bang. It doesn't send you a notification. It's a whisper, a slow, creeping process that quietly eats away at the value of your money. That dollar in your pocket, the money sitting in your savings account, it buys a little less today than it did yesterday, and it will buy even less tomorrow. Think about it. The price of your morning coffee, your weekly groceries, the gas for your car, it all seems to be going up, right? That's inflation in action. Over time, these small increases add up, and the purchasing power of your hard-earned cash steadily declines. So, what does this mean for you? It means that if your money isn't growing, it's shrinking. If you've just been stashing your savings in a standard bank account that pays next to no interest, you're effectively losing money every single year. Let's say inflation is at 3%. That means if you have $10,000 saved in 1 year, its real value, what it can actually buy, has dropped to $9,700. You didn't spend a dime, but you lost $300 in purchasing power. This is a crucial concept to understand. Many people think that by not investing, by just playing it safe with their money in the bank, they're avoiding risk. But in a world with inflation, doing nothing is one of the riskiest decisions you can make. It's a guaranteed way to see your wealth decline over time. You are actively choosing to become poorer, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. It's a costly decision, disguised as a safe one. The key to fighting back against this silent thief is to make your money work for you. You need your money to grow at a rate that's faster than inflation. Just keeping pace isn't enough. You want to get ahead. This is where investing comes in. By putting your money into productive assets, things that have the potential to grow in value and generate income, like stocks, real estate, or businesses, you give yourself a fighting chance. Now, I know the word investing can sound intimidating. It brings up images of complicated charts and Wall Street jargon, but it doesn't have to be that complex. The goal is simple: to own a piece of something that grows. When you buy a stock, you're buying a tiny slice of a real company that's creating products, providing services, and hopefully making a profit. As that company grows, the value of your slice can grow with it. When you invest in real estate, you own a physical asset that can appreciate in value and generate rental income. These are productive assets. They don't just sit there, they work. Contrast this with just holding cash. Cash is not a productive asset. It doesn't create anything. It just sits there, slowly losing its power to inflation. The decision to do nothing, to let your money stagnate, is a decision to let inflation win. You're letting your future financial security quietly slip through your fingers. It's a passive choice that leads to a very active and negative outcome. The first step is recognizing the problem. Understand that inflation is real and it's impacting your financial life every single day. The second step is deciding to take action. You don't have to become a financial expert overnight. Start by learning the basics. Read a book, listen to a podcast, watch educational videos, educate yourself on the different types of investments, and find a strategy that aligns with your goals and your comfort level with risk. Remember, the goal isn't to get rich quick. It's about building long-term wealth and protecting your purchasing power. It's about ensuring that the money you work so hard for today will still be valuable and support you in the future. Don't let the silence fool you. Inflation is making a lot of noise in your financial life. You just have to learn how to hear it. Start listening today and take control of your financial destiny. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get richer and richer while most of us feel like we're just spinning our wheels? It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? You work hard, you save what you can, but it feels like you're not getting ahead. The truth is, the system we're all in is designed in a very specific way, and the wealthy don't get ahead by playing the same game as everyone else. They don't just work harder. They work completely differently. So, what's their secret? It's not about slaving away for 80 hours a week at a job. It's about understanding that the system rewards ownership, not just effort. While most people are trading their time for a paycheck, the rich are focused on building things they own. Think about it. They're not just earning a salary, they're building assets. What does that mean in practice? It boils down to a few key ideas. First, ownership. They own businesses. They own real estate. They own stocks. They own things that can grow in value and generate income for them, even when they're not actively working. Second, they use leverage. This could be leveraging other people's money through loans to buy assets, or leveraging other people's time by hiring employees to run their systems. It's about amplifying their own efforts to get a much bigger result. Third, they build systems. A business isn't just a job for them. It's a well-oiled machine that can run without their constant, hands-on involvement. They create processes and structures that generate revenue automatically. And finally, they harness the incredible power of long-term compounding. They invest their money and let it grow. And then the earnings from that growth start to grow, creating an exponential curve over time. It's a slow and steady snowball effect that eventually becomes an unstoppable avalanche of wealth. They understand that time is their greatest ally, not their enemy. This might sound a bit discouraging, like the game is rigged against you. But here's the good news. You don't have to be a victim of the system. Once you understand the rules, you can learn how to navigate it and even beat it. This isn't about finding some get-rich-quick hack or listening to empty motivational speeches. Those things are distractions. This is about taking real, practical steps to change your financial trajectory. So, how do you do it? First, you have to educate yourself. Learn the mechanics of money. Understand what an asset is versus a liability. Learn about investing, taxes, and debt. This knowledge is the foundation for everything else. It's the map you need to navigate the financial world. Next, focus on building skills that can scale. A scalable skill is something where your income isn't directly tied to the hours you put in. Think about writing a book, creating a course, building a software application, or starting a YouTube channel. You create it once, and it can generate income for you over and over again with little extra effort. This is how you break free from the time-formity trap. From there, you start creating second, third, and fourth income systems. This is often called building multiple streams of income. Your main job might pay the bills, but your side projects are what will build your wealth. These are your little systems that work for you in the background. And as you generate this extra income, you must invest it consistently. Don't let it just sit in a savings account where inflation eats it away. Put it to work in the stock market, in real estate, or back into your own business. The key is consistency. Invest every single month, whether the market is up or down. The most important mindset shift is to start thinking long-term. Stop focusing on your monthly budget and start thinking about your 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year plan. Where do you want to be financially in a decade? The small, consistent actions you take today will have a massive impact on your future. You see, you don't fight the system by getting angry or emotional about it. That's a losing battle. You win by understanding its rules and strategically moving around the obstacles. It's about playing a smarter game. It takes patience, it takes discipline, and it takes a commitment to learning. But it is absolutely possible. You can build a life where your money works for you, not the other way around. Have you ever wondered what truly separates the rich from everyone else? It's not just the size of their bank accounts. Sure, the income difference is huge, but the real gap, the one that makes all the difference, is in their mindset. It's a fundamental shift in how they view the world and their place in it. Most people are stuck asking, how much do I earn? Their focus is on a paycheck, a salary, a fixed number they get in exchange for their time. It's a mindset that's all about trading hours for dollars. You work your 40 hours, you get your check, and that's the end of the story. This way of thinking keeps you on a treadmill, always working for money, always capped by the number of hours in a day. But the wealthy, the truly successful entrepreneurs and investors, they ask a completely different question. They ask, how does money flow? They don't see money as something you earn. They see it as a current, a river. Their goal isn't just to scoop a bucket of water from the river. It's to understand the entire system. Where does the river come from? Where is it going? How can they build channels to direct its flow? They think in terms of systems, assets, and cash flow. An asset could be a business, a piece of real estate, a stock portfolio, anything that puts money into their pocket, whether they are actively working or not. They're not just earning, they are creating and controlling streams of income. This is the first major mental shift. Stop thinking about what you earn and start thinking about how money moves and how you can position yourself to capture that flow. The second huge mental shift is about risk and safety. The average person's primary concern is this safe? We're taught from a young age to seek security. Get a good job with benefits, a pension, and stay there for 30 years. Don't take risks. Play it safe. The problem is, this safe path is often the riskiest of all. You're putting all your financial security in the hands of one employer. If that company goes under, if your job gets automated, if there's a downturn, your entire safe world collapses. It feels secure, but it's incredibly fragile. It's like building your house on a single pillar. It might feel stable, but if that one pillar fails, everything comes crashing down. The wealthy, on the other hand, approach risk from a completely different angle. Their question isn't, is this safe? It's, is this scalable? Scalability is the potential for something to grow exponentially. A job isn't scalable because you only have 24 hours in a day. You can't work 1,000 hours a week to make more money. But a business? That's scalable. You can hire more people, open new locations, reach a global market online. An investment, that's scalable. Your money can grow through compounding without you needing to put in more time. They understand that real security doesn't come from avoiding risk. It comes from building multiple, scalable streams of income. It comes from building a robust system that can withstand shocks because it is not dependent on a single, safe source. They're not afraid to take calculated risks because they know the biggest risk of all is not taking any risk at all. So how do you start making this shift? It begins with awareness. Just by listening to this, you've already taken the first step. You're becoming aware that there's another way to think about money, work, and life. Awareness is the first escape from the mental prison that keeps so many people trapped in financial mediocrity. Start paying attention to these two questions in your own life. When you think about your career or a new opportunity, are you asking, how much will I earn? Or are you starting to ask, how does the money flow here? When you face a decision, is your first instinct, is this safe? Or can you challenge yourself to ask, is this scalable? This isn't about quitting your job tomorrow and pouring your life savings into some risky venture. It's about a gradual, deliberate change in your thinking. Start small. Read books about business and investing. Listen to podcasts from successful entrepreneurs. Surround yourself, even virtually, with people who think differently. Begin to see the world not just as a consumer or an employee, but as a potential owner and creator. See the systems at play behind the products you buy and the services you use. This shift in perspective is the key that unlocks everything else. It's the foundation upon which financial freedom is built. The change starts in your mind, long before it ever shows up in your bank account. If this video made you feel a little uncomfortable, that means it worked. Because real growth always starts with clarity. It starts by seeing things for what they really are, not just what we wish they were. If you want more videos that explain money clearly, expose the hidden systems at play, and help you think differently about your finances, then subscribe to Money Pulsar. Your journey to financial freedom doesn't begin with a pile of cash. It begins right here with understanding the rules of the game. Just a quick reminder, this video is for educational purposes only. All the examples we used were simplified to make things easier to understand. Always make sure to do your own research before making any financial decisions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.